never confess, we cannot falter in the battle. We're tried and true. Indiana, Indiana, we're all.
Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Show on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your co-host, Mike Goodpaster, here with 1981 national champion and co-host, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great. You know what's a funny anecdote? I was talking to my wife yesterday, or it may have been Saturday, as we were watching the semifinal games, and we were talking about how old we are, and we talk, and I likened it to like when I came to Indiana in 1977-78, which was my freshman year. The 53 team was the last team that had won a national championship for Indiana. We did the math on that, and that was like 28-year span. Okay. From 53 to 78, I think we said was like 28 years or somewhere. Like we got to that number. And now I look at it now, and from 81 to 2025 is a 44-year span. And we thought Bobby Leonard and those guys were freaking old farts. Who the hell? What are they thinking about us guys right now? About Kitch and Witt and Ray and Landon and Zeke and JT and Chuck and ISO and everybody, that played. Kurt, Big E. I mean, my God, we're 44 years removed from winning this damn thing. So
it's been a while, Steve.
And I know 87's in there too, so take 7 off that. It's still 37 years. So when we talk about that span of 53 and 40 was actually closer, 40 to 78 was about the same time that we've been,
sure.
less time.
Actually. They were playing from peach basket.
My God, we're ancient.
Well, you are, Steve, and the bad thing is I remember it, so that means I'm ancient too. I'm just not quite as ancient as you.
Yeah.
But Indiana transfer portal, all kind of news as of late. The Hoosiers have finally signed some players so they can at least play 3-on-3 this coming season. But I mean, the one that intrigues me the most, not that he's necessary, but the one that intrigues me the most is the one they signed yesterday, which was Davidson transfer forward Reed Bailey. He announced his commitment yesterday afternoon. He was the A10 Conference's top scorer last year. He was named the league's most improved player. He was A10 all-first team. And this is a dude, Steve, 6'10", 230, averaged 18.8 points, added 6 rebounds, almost 4 assists, shot 47.7% overall, but also shot 41.5% on 3-point attempts. What's your take on the Reed Bailey signing?
Well, without having seen him play, the stats line up great. His size lines up great. 6'10", plays a forward. He's got decent range shooting. 41% from the threes. I mean, you got a 6'10" guy all of a sudden that can shoot the threes, which gives you, just pulls defenders out of the middle, helps our guards penetrate, keeps penetration holes. On paper, there's a lot of good things about this kid, and he may be. And I know we're going to talk about Devries' son being the stud that's coming in here, and a great player at a little bit higher level than Davidson. And I don't know how bad Davidson is. Really,
truly. They came from Davidson, so they're not too bad. They do occasionally.
Yeah, no.
Solid program.
So I think this so far is the best get we've gotten so far. And the other thing is, and I'm just throwing this out there, the kid's from Harvard, Massachusetts. Now, you can say, okay, he didn't go to Harvard. I get that, but that's still a pretty upscale neighborhood. I mean, you aren't a dummy if you live in here. The kid probably has some basketball acumen, some smarts about him. I think the saddest part about this kid right now, Mike, is we only got him for 1 year. But that's the product of portal basketball this day. is you're only going to get these kids. I wish, as we're trying to retool this program, we had a Reed Bailey for more than 1 year, so coach could get on him and develop him even a little stronger. Going from here to the Big Ten. Hopefully, we strengthen our schedule. We play some more SEC teams, some Big 12 teams. But I like this kid a lot. I think he's so far is the best addition to the program.
Yeah, and if you watch him right now, Steve, I mean, he's a very good passer. But the thing you brought up about the 1 year player, anytime you have to replace basically 12 guys, though, you kind of got to take what you got to take. And we saw Coach Devries talk before about how, this year would not be the same as years upcoming, that he was going to recruit high school players and Indiana players. So I think this is just kind of, you have to right now more than anything else.
Well, and my point on that, Mike, is I'm writing down some questions for later on in the show. Be grateful the portal, because the portal is very beneficial to Indiana right now. Because if we did not have the portal and there was this migration of these players out of here, Indiana would be looking at 2 to 3 years before they'd even make a dent in the Big Ten.
But old days, Magabu and Renew may not leave just because of the fact that they would have to sit out a year.
Right.
Yeah, they'd have to sit out a year. So
I go back to, is it a bad thing those guys left now?
No, not even
I
close.
mean, I really got, honestly, I think if we're going to clean house, let's just clean house. If we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's retool. Let's try and right this ship back to a modern version of what made Indiana, Indiana. And I'm not saying we don't go back to the Bob Knight era, but that culture worked throughout the ages. It worked for Claire B. It worked for Branch McCracken. It worked for Bob Knight. It worked to a great degree even for Tom Crean. And there were some other coaches that were maybe not up to the speed they needed to be at when they came in, but that culture of Indiana basketball works, and that's one built on more of a longer-term commitment. And I think that, I know I have a conference call with the coach tomorrow. All the former players have a Zoom call with Coach DeVries tomorrow. I know one of the questions I'm going to ask him that you brought up to ask was, what kind of balance do you expect to have between freshman players and portal players, and where do you plan to do most of your recruiting from? I still believe, Mike, that there's a tremendous amount of talent in the Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, circumference where Bob Knight dominated all his recruiting from. So, and we'll talk more about my conference call with him tomorrow, because I'm going to ask people listening for some input. But I'm with you. Reed Bailey is 6'10", seems to be a true forward. Still a lot to learn about the game. Most improved player, not most valuable player, which means he's got a lot of learning curve still to go. And of course, DeVries really sets it upon him. Maybe by midseason, we've got this kid.
Well, see, the thing I like is this, Steve. From watching Drake and watching West Virginia last year, the guys he's gotten right now match the style of play he wants to play. They're not.
That's important.
They're just not a bunch of guys that were great players and they were going to throw them together and make a team.
Right, and I think that's kind of what happened a little bit before. We just kind of took best talent available, whether it would fit, together or not. I always said, as a manager, a great team will always beat a team of great individuals.
But it won't if that great team is well constructed.
Yeah, a well-constructed great team will always beat a team of great individuals. Unless, of course, you're the 90s Chicago Bulls. Then it doesn't matter.
Well, it did, because really
they were a great team
around him.
They're a well-constructed great
really
team.
Matter. All right.
Okay, who else we got? Reed Bailey.
All right,
we both are very high on
Reed Bailey. Next up, we've got Connor Enright. Let me find the film here, which shouldn't take too long. Since I'm all
6'2" guard out of DePaul.
6'2" guard out of DePaul. This is a kid that I've seen a lot of IU fans complain because he only averaged 7 points a game, but he also averaged 6 assists. And I know, for reading up on him, that he was the point guard at Drake 2 years ago, or for 2 years, he was the point guard at Drake for Devries. I mean, he could shoot the three. He's not a high volume shooter with the three, but he can hit the open three. He doesn't really create his own shot. But the thing about him is he's such a good passer, such a good assist man, that when he has the ball in 3-point range, a lot of times the defense will not be real strong on him because the way he can dribble, drive, and pass makes the guys in the interior even more dangerous. So he gets a fair amount of open looks. And the thing I really like about him is the fact that he plays very strong. I mean, he's a tough kid. He takes the ball hard to the basket, and he's fearless, which is the thing that I want with my point guard.
Yeah, and you know what the thing? There's a common thread here. One, I like the 6.2 assists. I think Mike, this looks like a kid who's going to probably play a lot of two guard.
No, he's a point.
Is he a point?
Yeah.
But I didn't know what they were going to do with Tucker Devries.
Oh, Tucker's a 3 and Bailey's a 4.
Okay. Okay. So you got a point guard. You got a good guy. He's willing to dish. And the one thing I like about both him and Bailey so far we've talked to is minutes played. You know, Bailey's coming in at 33.3 minutes played per game. And here Enright's right now from DePaul, 30.1 minutes per game. These are kids who've got a lot of on-court time so far. And I think that says a lot. We're not bringing in kids who are going to, you know, dump in their pants as soon as they get in front of 17,000 people in Assembly Hall.
Yeah, and the other thing about him, we're assuming Tucker Devries is coming, which I think there's no doubt he will. But Enright,
all indications indicate he is coming. I don't know.
Enright, his sophomore year 2 years ago, started all 33 games at the point guard position for the Drake Bulldogs. They went to the NCAA tournament. Last year, he started all 23 games he appeared in before missing 10 games with a shoulder injury. He played for Chris Holtman and the Blue Demons last year. And I think his value as a power conference point guard is his passing ability. When you look at him, he had a 37.8 assist rate, which puts him 16th nationally. As you said, he averaged 6.2 assists per game, which is a big uptick from the 3.2 per game that he averaged at Drake. So I think that playing at DePaul, you saw a lot of progression play. And that's the thing. I mean, he played at Drake, which people are going to say is mid-major. But then when he moved on to DePaul, even though DePaul's not a really good team, they were actually a lot better this year than they have been in previous years. And I think what we saw is he played even better when he went to the Big East with teams like Xavier, UConn, Creighton, Marquette. That's a high-quality level of competition. And he's not a high-volume shooter. But, you know, 2 years ago, he was over 40% from the three-point range. Last year, he was 32.5. But I think we also got to take into effect the team he played on, which Duke was a little rough. 6'2", 180. But, I mean, I think you may have a little bit more of a challenge to be a finisher inside when he drives to the basket. But I think he's a capable shooter. I think he is a very good passer. And I think he's a guy that can run this offense. And the other good thing is, he played in the backcourt with DeVries. He's been coached by DeVries. So I think this fits. I think this checks all the boxes also. I don't think it's a blow it out of the box great pick. But I think Connor Enright is going to be a huge addition to this basketball team.
I agree. And the thing I'm looking for right off the bat is these kids' willingness to get on the floor and die for loose balls and play hard.
And he will. And that's the thing about him, DeVries, Bailey. If you watch complete games, which I have watched a few of each, especially Enright. Enright will get on the floor. He will get dirty. You know, he's a dude that he'll put Vaseline on his knees if you want him to, Steve.
I know that. I have my own jar in my locker room.
All right. Well, there's a lot of people that may never heard that story, but we'll just leave it to their imagination.
I know. I thought the minute I said that, I thought, oh, yeah, Goodpaster's going to tear that one apart.
I'm not, Steve.
But we all had our own jar of Vaseline from when we knew we were going to be doing loose ball drills. But yeah, I think because the thing I noticed when we got to the Sweet 16 and especially into the Elite Eight is I looked at it and I said, my God, Indiana couldn't compete with these teams. We just don't play basketball this hard.
Yeah, I mean, look at this
We
kid.
weren't.
He's fearless when he drives to the basket.
An effort because we do not play this hard of basketball. I mean, Houston and Florida are going to knock each other in the head tonight. It's going to be a war. And if the refs have been true to form throughout this whole tournament, they're going to let them play.
And the referees have been horrible in it. But we will talk about. We will preview the national championship game here at the end of the show.
Yeah,
but
so
I
won't
really like
Enright.
And I know there's a lot of people out there saying he only averaged.
I'm just hoping that these kids all come in and take a shine to Coach Devries right away and buy into his system and that they get after it, get on the floor, be willing to knock some heads and play hard. And then they reestablished that culture into Indiana basketball as quick as they can.
Yep. All right, we will now move on to our third player, which will be the coach's son. And this is one time where, having the coach's son on the team's not necessarily a bad thing, Steve.
No, absolutely not.
Robert says, yo from Vero. Robert always says yo from Vero.
Yo from Vero.
All right, let's bring up Tucker Devries. I got to find the film here. I might have lost the film here. Hold on. But yeah, what do you think? Because I'm sure that's probably the first time you've seen Enright, right?
Yes.
So I really like how hard he plays.
Yeah, I like that too. They seem like smart kids. They seem like smart basketball players, which I'm it's all positive right now.
Yeah, and then we talk about the coach's son, Tucker Devries.
Tucker, 14.9 points per game, 4.5 rebounds a game, 2.8 assists. 2.8 assists is a scorer for his team. Defensive player, 2 steals a game, almost 2 steals, and 1.5 blocks. And this is a kid who's a 6'7" wing player and still getting 1.5 blocks a game. Again, 34.5 minutes played per game, 47% three-point shooter. That is maybe his strongest asset to us.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Can get up there and drill a 3.
And he can shoot it from anywhere once he gets past half court.
Yeah. 82% free throw shooter. How have we longed for an 82% free throw shooter?
Hell, 75% as a team would be outstanding.
I'll take one player that shoots 82%.
And the thing is this, everybody always blew it off. Like, it seems like the last 20 years, IU has been terrible at shooting free throws.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
The thing you notice, though, the Houston-Duke game was kind of decided because Houston nailed their free throws at the end of that game, and Duke missed some. And the same thing with Florida against Auburn. I mean, the team that makes the free throws, they're free points. You can't just pass them games,
yeah.
But I love watching this kid play. When he played at Drake, I went to Indiana State, of course. So I watched a lot of Missouri Valley Conference basketball. And those 2 years.
Let's clear up the fact that he was not playing at Drake while you were at Indiana State.
Oh, God, I wish, because I wouldn't be near as old now. And I could enter the transfer portal and go play, Steve.
There you go.
But instead, I was at Indiana State in 1987, 88. So not the same thing. But I did watch him play a lot. And the thing is this. I saw him play against Indiana State, I think, when he was a freshman or a sophomore. From then on, I would go on the, what do they call it, ESPN3 or whatever it is. And if Drake was playing, I would watch just to watch this kid play basketball.
No, this kid's I'm looking at the film right now, and I mean, kid's not afraid to put a shot up from anywhere, and I like that. I mean, we need that. We need a kid just a clutch scorer for us.
Well, we haven't had a kid that was willing to do that because we haven't had a kid that could make it before.
No, I mean, we had guys like 32. What was the guy's name with the headband?
32 with the headband? Mbako? But he's 21.
No, the white kid.
Trey Galloway. Yeah, Trey Galloway wasn't afraid to shoot him.
He wasn't afraid to shoot it, but he didn't make a lot of them. But
he was afraid to make them, I think, more than anything else.
I liked his gumption, but this kid's got gumption and scoring ability. And I tell you, Mike, I like the fact this kid's a 6'7" wingman. He can handle the rock. It looks like he can play perimeter. He can draw people out. It looks like he makes himself very tough to guard.
Yeah, because you have to worry about the guy that he can pass the ball to because he's very good throwing the ball into the low post. and he's good at driving and hitting it. He can rebound. And once again, he's a kid that plays fearless. That's what I like about this right now, because to me, a lot of times, I'm sorry, but balls can take down athletic ability. And Connor Enright may not be a top 10 point guard, but in the balls department, he's probably a top 10 point guard. And if you could get a bunch of guys like that, that's what Coach Knight used to do. He'd get guys that were hard-nosed like yourself, and he would turn them loose, and they would play their asses off. He'd have one or two scorers. You've got that with Tucker Devries. You've got that with Reed Bailey right now. Right. So, I mean, this is a team that I think right now may only have 5 players on it, as long as DeVries and if Luke Goody wants to come back, if they get their eligibility, you may only have 5 guys right now, but they're 5 guys I would take over the best 5 guys you could have put on the floor from last year's team, because these 5 guys will play their ass off. They'll get on the ground, they'll scrape their knees, and they'll battle to the end of the game.
Yeah, what's interesting to me, another facet of it too, is Tucker DeVries being, the coach's son. Yeah. That can work for you or against you. I mean, if Tucker decides he wants to be part of the team and can help the players understand his dad and what his dad's mentality is, that helps the learning curve a lot. If he's going to be protective of his dad but I think that there's a great possibility there of him being a calming effect to the rest of the players, because he can say, my dad's just blowing it out his rear end. Don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. We're good.
All right. Robert Stewart says DeVries reminds me of A.J. Guyton. You have to guard him as soon as he gets off the bus. He says Tucker DeVries. Yeah. I think there is a huge difference between the playing ability of these 2 guys, though. And that's not to be a jerk either. I think this guy is on another plane. I mean, outside of Trace Jackson Davis, maybe the best student in Indiana uniform in the last 20 years, if he plays like he did at Drake in West Virginia.
Yeah, the first 3 portal guys they've gotten this quick into the situation can only be a good thing. It's starting to get good nucleus for this program. It's people that coach seemed to want. These are people he wanted, people that he's had influence on before, either as an opponent coach or as a head coach. And it can help draw other players into this program quickly, players that he sees fit. I see Luke Goody fitting in with these guys for a year. That might be good, because
I think he would.
Luke could discuss and talk about the culture, what to expect.
No, he can't. No, he can't.
Okay.
Not unless he's going to talk about the culture in Illinois. How's he going to talk about the culture of Indiana?
He spent a year here.
There was no culture here, Steve.
I disagree with that.
What do you think the culture was of this team?
I think the culture of Indiana basketball is always in Assembly Hall.
But
I think it didn't translate to a lot of the players.
It didn't translate to the coach either, because he did not go out.
Okay, all right. Let's Mike's on. Let's leave Mike alone.
I'm not the one that bothered Mike. Mike's the one that brought in guys and had no culture. Not having a culture is on the head coach.
Doesn't mean the culture still didn't live.
It didn't. The culture has not lived since Coach Knight left. Hell, the culture really hadn't lived since probably 1994, 95. All right. We got some guys who right now Indiana is interested in. We'll go through them a little bit. We got Lamar Wilkerson. He's from Sam Houston State, 6'5" guard, 20.5 points, 4 rebounds, played 35 minutes per game, shot 47.7% from the field, 44.5% on threes, 82% from the line. Once again, he is a guy with 1 year left, but he is a guy, when you read the stat line, I haven't seen much on him, but when you read the stat line, sounds very interesting, Steve.
Yep. It was an all-conference first-team selection in USA Conference. Considered one of the top shooters available in the transfer portal. Again, we have not been a team that's been blessed with good perimeter shooting. Indiana has historically not been a team that has taken advantage of the three-point shot. And I don't want to see a team that just builds its offense outside the arc, but that is a deadly weapon if we've got it. And we've seen that in the Elite Eight and in the Final Four. Those three-point shots can turn games real quick.
Yeah. Then we've got Nigel Pack from Miami of Florida, 6-foot guard, 13.9.
That's a trade for what's his name?
13.9, 4.3 assist, shot 45% from the field, 38% on threes, 83% from the line. Indiana is reportedly one of several schools in play for him. He's actually from Indianapolis,
From
Indiana.
Indianapolis, yeah.
He's got 1 year left.
But I think you're going to see that this year. I think this
yeah.
is a good foundation. Even if we got these guys for 1 year, if they can put numbers on the board, if we can compete, and we can
build a culture,
it'll allow us to recruit better and get deeper into the portal the next year. So I don't see these kids only having 1 year. The first year into this is a bad thing.
All right. This is one that I am very interested in. That's Elijah Freeman. We talked about this off air. Lincoln Memorial, 6'8", averaged 19, 9, and 2. 2 steals a game. He played 31 minutes a game. He shot 59% from the field. He shot 46% from three-point range, 80% on free throws. And Indiana is one of several high major teams that are interested in him. To me, this would be a big get because he's still got 3 years left, Steve.
I like that. Yeah, I like the fact that he's got 3 years. Do we know what his weight is, his size is? I know he's 6'8", but is he a lanky 6'8" or a physical 6'8"?
I think I saw he's a lanky. He probably is going to play more facing the basket than if he's back to the basket. And I mean, if you look at him, he shot 45% from three-point range. So the thing is this: if you've got him and you've got Reed Bailey, you could go out and get a big center like a Ballo, and you can still play with your two, 3 big men because 2 of them are able to get out on the wings and guard the perimeter.
Yeah, but if
you can have one guy that's
in a 6'10", think of the flow of offense you can have versus dumbing yourself down with another Ballo type kid. I mean,
yes.
I
didn't mean no. I meant basically a low post force.
Yeah, I don't know that I want that. I think Reed Bailey at 6'10". I mean, I know when we played, we had Landon at 6'9", Ray at 6'9", and me at 6'8". We handled the big guys. We handled Joe Barry Carroll, but yet we still could go up against the Worthy Perkins and Al Wood combo. So yeah. I don't know that I really want to see this team with the guards we got coming in and with the 2 6'8"ers and the 6'10", we got a commitment out of 2 of those 3 right now. And we get the third one, we get this Elijah kid. I don't know, Mike. The possibilities are more open with an
offense will be more open. Yeah, and the offense will be more spread out. Another one who's interesting, who's got 2 years left, is Rodney Rice, the guard from Maryland. He's 6'4", averaged 13.8, 2.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists in 31 minutes. Shot 43% from the field, 37% on threes, and 81% from the free throw line. And it is reporting that Indiana has reached out to him. I don't have any more information there, but the fact that he's got 2 years, he played at Maryland, which was a team that made it to the Sweet 16, and we know they were a very good basketball team this year. I think makes him an interesting possibility also.
Who's this, Rodney Rice?
Yeah.
Well, didn't Miles Rice transfer to Maryland?
I don't know where Miles Rice went. I didn't care.
He signed with Maryland.
Did he? Well, then we can trade him a Rice for a Rice.
It's a Rice-A-Roni deal there for us.
Yeah, but the difference is Rodney Rice plays harder.
Rice-A-Roni, the Indiana treat.
Yeah, but I think this, Steve, the really good thing about all this is it looks like he is looking more for guys that will get on the floor, get after it, and play very hard.
I agree 100%.
Over anything else.
Yeah.
So I think it's going in the right direction. Of course, tomorrow, Steve will have a chance to actually talk to Coach Devries.
Anybody got any questions you think I should ask, Coach, if I get the opportunity to?
If you guys want to throw up a question here, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook message, whatever, send us the question. Steve will try to ask it tomorrow.
I don't know how many players are going to be on or anything. Yeah. I just know it's a conference call with the former players. All former players are eligible to get on the call. So certainly if I get a question and answer period, Mike has demanded that I ask him to come on our show.
Do you think Xavier Johnson will be on to ask a question?
Xavier Johnson.
You don't even remember him, do you?
No.
Remember that was the guy everybody always fought over because he was always in trouble. And
Oh, yeah. Number one. Wasn't he number one?
Yeah, the little midget idiot from Florida.
He was always doing a drug deal somewhere in Dunhill parking lot.
I don't think it was that Steve, but it might have been. Who knows? But I doubt it. But he had a lot of other issues. But tonight, Steve, or Wednesday, we'll come back. We'll report on how that Zoom call went with Steve and the Florida players and Coach Devries. So we'll be on Wednesday at 1, and we'll talk about how that meeting went. And tonight, Steve, we have a former Indiana basketball coach playing for his first national championship as Kelvin Sampson leads the Houston Cougars.
Can I say one thing before we go to the previous?
Go ahead.
I think just the fact that Devries has reached out to the former players, that has not happened.
Mike Woodson didn't even do that.
Mike Woodson didn't do it. And we're talking about a teammate of a lot of ours, and Mike never even solicited. I think he had Whitman and Calbert and some of his, his inner circle. But here, on the very first thing Coach does is he says, let's get these former players, let's get their opinion, let's give them feeling like they're part of this process, they are part of the family, and let's get them on a conference call, at least explain to them individually what our plans are, and let them ask any questions they want to about where we're going. I think that's a huge step in the return of the culture of Indiana basketball to Indiana basketball.
All right, Robert Stewart asks, is the defense going to be nail slot rim?
No, that's a good question. I'll write it down.
All right, tonight, the Houston Cougars, Florida Gators.
When setting my flooring in my kitchen, do I use the nails or the slots, or do I use the trim defense? I don't know. Yeah, I'll get it. Okay.
All right, tonight, Houston versus Florida, Steve. As an IU fan, former IU player, do you cheer for Calvin Sampson, or are you hoping he loses?
I cheer for Calvin Sampson. Calvin Sampson was very nice to me. Calvin and I didn't go to his house for Christmas dinner, and he didn't come to mine, but I was one of the players that reached out to him. He asked me to speak for the university a couple times. No other coach has ever done that. And I liked Calvin a lot. I was sorry that he left under the circumstances he did. So I am definitely in, although I think Florida's the underdog here, and I tend to like to root for the underdog.
Florida's the favorite by 1.5.
Are they really?
It's pretty much a pick 'em.
I'm 100% in Houston's camp tonight.
Yeah. Plus, I hate the SEC, and I also think this.
Yeah, I don't want the SEC to win either.
I think this. I think the SEC was better than the Big Ten, but I think it's possible the Big 12 was better than the SEC. If you look at the Big 12, they had a better winning percentage in the NCAA tournament. It's not like Houston played chopped liver, and maybe that's some of the reason why Duke couldn't handle Houston's pressure at the end of that game, because we know the ACC was terrible this season. I mean, the Mountain West was better than the SEC. So, Robert, he's going with Houston also. But the thing about this is this. Houston shut down Duke's guards. Duke's guards did nothing. Now, Cooper Kupp, Con Knippel, they dominated the game. But Houston's guards are very good. Robert says he's a Gator hater. But with the guards that Houston has, I think that they may be able to cause trouble for Clayton. Clayton is an absolute stud. He may be the best player in college basketball not named Cooper Flagg, and he is a clutch player. The thing about this game, though, Steve, that intrigues me is how both teams play exceedingly hard. It's what we're talking about, what we want from Indiana basketball. You watch the game tonight, that's what we want. We want teams that play hard like that. Right. But I think also people miss this. Houston shot the ball really well. They made more three-pointers than Duke did. I think that if I thought Duke would beat Houston, I didn't really think they had an issue. They had them beat. And you had the horrible call or the horrible foul call. It was but they still gave the game away.
But if you look at how that call transpired, the referee was totally blocked. The referee should not have made that call.
Well, it doesn't matter. Either way, you can't lose a 6-point lead in the last.
Well, my understanding is they only scored like 1 point in the last 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, because they were actually, I think they
That's
were
the
up.
defeat right there. It's not
They
that
were up.
one call.
They were up 14, 15 points with 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
And then Kelvin Sampson switched to defense, started applying more full court pressure, and Duke cracked. And I think this is something Houston has a pretty experienced team. Duke had a
Well,
bunch of freshmen.
I think they
And
have the best coach in the
Proctor.
tournament right now, too. I
Well,
think.
this is where I'm kind of going now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think this. I think that you saw the more experienced team did not crack under the pressure, where the younger team, even Cooper Flagg, missed a free throw. They kind of cracked. Now, Michael Houghton from the IU Red Chair group, make sure you go check it out on Facebook, says, I like Florida with the deeper bench. Go Gators. Clayton Jr. will win it for them. My question is this: is the Gators bench really deeper than Houston? I know they played a lot of guys, but most of those guys didn't play a lot of minutes. And this Houston team has been here before. They were in the Final Four a couple of years ago. I mean, I think this is going to be a great basketball game. I think it's a toss-up. And when you look at it, it's going to come down to LJ Cryer and Walker Clayton and how well they played. I was not impressed with, what's his name, Condon, the inside, the big, tall white boy. I think he looked intimidated against Auburn. He'll be intimidated against Houston. I think Houston wins the game, something like 72-70. But I think it's going to be an absolutely outstanding basketball game.
What I hope is that the referees don't think this game's about them.
Oh, the referees always think that.
Well, they need to let these guys play. I mean,
I thought the officiating was absolutely horrible in the Final Four. I thought Florida got screwed for like 3/4 of the game, and then Auburn got screwed for the last
horribleness. They let them play.
Yes,
they let them play, and I'm all for letting them play.
Yeah,
and I think the dumbest thing that was ever invented in basketball was flagrant fouls.
I think it's officials.
We know what a flagrant foul is.
That's when you're trying to maim somebody, not when you actually.
When I tried to put stitches in Kevin Boyle's forehead.
Yeah, but it drives me nuts because you see the one Houston guy fighting over a screen, and he goes like that to get by him, and he elbows the kid in the head, and all of a sudden it's a 2-shot flagrant, and they get the ball back. The dude wasn't trying to elbow him; he was trying to get off of him, so he
trying to clear him out and go.
Yeah, if he would have elbowed him,
balance his body out and get up court. I know that's, but the rule is any contact with an arm or elbow to the head is an automatic flagrant foul. Automatic.
Crap.
It's crap. It's an absolute crap.
And Michael Houghton says, heck, I would take the 7'9" freshman from Florida if he would enter the portal. I wouldn't, because chances are he's really not that good, or he'd be playing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would mess up what Indiana's trying to put together right now.
Yeah, I think we're trying to spread it out, pass the ball around, get the open shot, make it a hole,
and play defense. Good shooters. If we get Goody's a reliable shooter. He would fit in as a role player on this team. We got some perimeter shooters that can shoot the ball well. I do not want a Ballo or a 7'9" center clogging this thing up.
Hey, you know what? I would take a Ballo if he was in shape and played hard.
What?
I'd take a Ballo if he was in shape and played hard.
Oh, God, yeah, in a heartbeat.
But he wasn't in shape.
He could be a dominant player in college basketball, but he was neither of the – nor was he coached to be any of the above.
No, because you could have got his fat ass to lose some weight at some point.
Well, if he'd have worked hard, he'd just lost weight naturally.
But anything else you want to discuss before we wrap it up, Steve?
No, other than the fact that, you're going to be lucky to get me on Wednesday, because you know what happens Wednesday. You know what happens today right now is going on, don't you?
Well, probably some NASCAR or golf thing.
It's Masters. This is one of the 10 greatest sporting events in the world.
It's not.
It is.
It's not.
You talk to anybody and they'll tell you the math.
No.
Masters is probably the number 1, 2, 3 destination that any athlete would like to go to that they'll never get to. I mean, I've played at Madison Square Garden. I've played out west. I've played at most of the fancy gyms in the country, but I will never step. I have actually been to Augusta National. In '95, we went, and when Ben Crenshaw won, we got to go on the Wednesday before the tournament started, and it is incredibly spectacularly.
I thought you were going to say boring. Go ahead.
No, what people don't realize about Augusta is how undulating that course is. I mean, because TV flattens things out, you don't realize how hilly that course is. When you watch number 10, it's a 490, 500-yard par 4, and they hit wedges into that hole. It's a 10-story drop. You walk the course backwards. Well, try walking up that hill.
Oh, hell. What were we talking about? Hey, I never talk about boxing on the show, so.
Well, let's talk about boxing.
I don't want to.
Okay.
Robert says it's going to be wet at Augusta. I think Robert has a date that week.
Yeah, it's raining on the East Coast right now, so it might get wet there.
Yeah, I don't know, Steve. I hear it's a big deal, but Wimbledon's bigger.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Wimbledon's longer because it takes 2 weeks to play Wimbledon. Wimbledon's on an equal plane to Augusta.
Only with Wimbledon, you actually have to have some athletic ability other than just smacking a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the last time I played golf, I was 46.
You are such a moron at times.
You know what? Anytime you want to go and play golf with me, I will smoke your ass, and I haven't played in probably 15, 20 years.
Okay. And you're the same idiot that thinks auto racing's not hard.
No, I never said it wasn't hard. Golf's hard, but NASCAR it's Steve, for lack of a better term, it's fucking boring. They go in circles. If I drive 500 miles, I should end up south of Tennessee, not in the same spot I started from.
That's a good point. They do make a lot of left turns.
It's just like track. Why do I want to go to run a mile and I end up in the same freaking place that I was when I started?
All right. All right, I got Houston tonight. Here's a $10 question. We'll end it on this. Are we gonna see a downtick in TV because of the? I don't know that these are two of the more popular teams playing.
Now, it won't be a downtick because nothing could be a downtick from San Diego State versus UConn, which got outdone by the. And what about the women's ratings? They only had like 3 or 4 million yesterday.
What channel had them on?
It was during the day on I think it was ABC.
The whole thing on ESPN or what?
Yeah, I watched it. And I'll tell you, I was so impressed by all the missed layups that it was just thrilling to watch.
Okay.
It's just terrible. Geez. And Robert says
I was not able. I did not. If Caitlin Clark's not playing, I'm not in.
No, there's no reason to watch because Caitlin Clark plays like a guy. The rest of those girls play like, for lack of a better term,
girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It annoys me if a man's got a ponytail playing basketball. Hey, you know what I want to know? I want to know how you could really be a tough ass, legit athlete if you've got like those fake eyelashes that cost like $400
and nails that are like that long.
It's kind of like when I go to I went to the gym, like I got on a treadmill like a week ago, and this girl is like 3 down from me. She gets on it, and I'll tell you, the smell of perfume was so bad that I thought I was at a whorehouse. And I'm thinking, dude, if you're coming down here to work out, why the hell do you have makeup on and perfume?
I wouldn't know what a whorehouse smells like.
The only way I know is you had that scratch and sniff you brought back from that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, it's what it's what I assume a whorehouse would smell like.
I did see, though, of the 42 games, the Fever are playing, 41 of them are on some form of national TV.
Well, yeah, it has to be because Caitlin Clark is the only thing people want to watch.
Does UConn have any good players coming out that are going
to? Paige Buchers. It's a white girl that always feels bad because she's white in a black person's game and always apologizes for it. She'll be playing for the Dallas Wings probably. They have the #1 pick.
Okay.
But she plays for Gino Auriemma. So I watched Gino Auriemma. And *1,
guy's the all-time winningest college coaching.
He coaches girls, Steve. Why don't he go coach men to see if he can actually coach? He's kind of like
a multimillionaire where he is. I want to get back to Robert Stewart's comment. Yes, I believe IndyCar is more difficult than NASCAR. I'm going to tell you something. IndyCar drivers are freaking crazy. To stick yourself in a rocket ship going 240 miles an hour down the straightaway and diving into turn 1 with 32 other idiots, at 240 miles an hour, you're
That's
putting your life on the
That's
line.
not crazy. That's stupid.
Stupid and crazy.
Michael Houghton says, I had South Carolina women in the women's pool and they laid an egg. I didn't want UConn to win. I didn't want either one of them to win because both coaches are liberal jerk-offs. But what the hell are you going to do?
All right, I got Houston tonight. I'm pulling for Coach Sampson. That's why I'm rooting for Houston, is I like Coach Sampson and wish him well. I have no ill will toward Florida. I think it's great that Florida got there.
I'm rooting for Houston because they've been there 7 times and have never won it.
No, I think Houston's earned its way there.
Yeah. I mean, and out of the 7 times, this will be the 3rd time they made it to the finals. Of course, in '83, they lost to NC State on the Lorenzo Charles dunk on the Wittenberg pass. And then in '84, they lost 84-75 to Patrick Ewing and Georgetown. Mainly, I think Georgetown was one of the best. That may have been the best defensive team I've ever seen.
Who was their coach then? The old the white-haired guy
for Houston?
Yeah,
it was Guy V. Lewis. He's
Guy Lewis. Yeah, great coach.
No, he wasn't. He was shit. He was really good at buying players.
Well, that's what I mean.
But you're the one that told me you can't be great unless you win a championship, Steve, and he has not won a championship.
Okay.
So
you didn't like Bum Phillips either?
I love Bum Phillips because he was a very innovative coach. He's the man that invented like the 3-4 defense and stuff. So he did a lot of things there.
He had Earl Campbell.
Like that. He had Earl Campbell, but I mean,
punishing running back ever to play the game.
He was one of them, yes. And Robert said 240 miles an hour, no power. Robert, will you quit egging this Indy car?
Robert, you know what would happen if they put power steering in those cars? They'd kill themselves. They get racket steering. Well, those steering wheels don't turn, but about an inch to a quarter, inch to maybe an inch and a half at most. If you steer any more than that, it means you're trying to avoid sliding head first into the wall. Yeah. So, you could not put power steering. The cars are too light. It's all engine.
Hey, I'll give you this. How about this, Steve? Car flipping around. Was it who won it doing that? Was it Danny Sullivan in '85?
Danny Sullivan.
1985. See,
1985 in the Miller Lite Special. Just the Miller Beer Special.
Because I remember Rick Mears. I remember in like
the 70s, in front of Mario Andretti.
I remember in the 70s, even into probably the mid 80s, until I think the first time they showed the race live where I live was like 1986 because they used to black us out. But
that was 86 was
Bobby Rahal.
Tom Sneva.
It was Bobby Rahal, wasn't it?
It was 86. Sneva and Rahal were right in there.
Yeah, but I thought Rahal won.
Rahal might have been 86.
I remember 82. You had Gordon Johncock and Rick Mears, the closest finish ever at the time.
No, Scott Goodyear. There was Scott Goodyear and was it Al Unser Jr.? I think Scott Goodyear and Al.
That was like 92, wasn't it?
That was 92.
I'm impressing you right now, ain't I?
Yeah, no, I know you're reading off of something.
I ain't reading off a damn thing. How am I going to look up 86 to 92 that quick? Because I remember 86, the first one that was shown live was the one where I think they had a rain delay and they didn't race until Monday. Correct.
Oh, Sweet Savage died.
And not in 86, was it?
Oh, not in 86.
No, 86 was rain is why. Because I remember it used to be on and there would be an NBA game right after it, like a Western Conference Finals, because Lakers would be playing the Sonics or something. I remember that from 87.
Well, you have to recall back when I first started going the Indy 500, it was like an all-day event. Because they
I absolutely hated
miles an hour.
I hated Rick Mears because I loved AJ Foyt, and Rick Mears always won the damn thing. That stupid ass yellow car.
He had Penske power.
Yes, he did. Plus, he was a pretty damn good driver too. But it don't hurt to have
a very good driver. And Foyt was self-funded and had his own team. He had his own engine.
Didn't he win Daytona and the Indy?
No more Foyt engines.
Did he win the Daytona 500 in like the 60s?
Yes, he's one of a handful of drivers. Mario Andretti's another that actually went down there and won both.
Now, if you go past 1992, I can't talk about none of this. But before 1992, or was it 94 or 95 when they went to all foreign drivers and all the guys that we'd heard of quit or something?
Well, that's when CART and the IRL split apart. Tony, what happened was they wanted profit sharing. CART wanted profit sharing of the Indy 500. And Tony and the Holman family said, no, that's our race. You get invited to come to our race. You don't get to share our profits. And so then Penske and them broke off and formed CART, and Tony Hellman was a non-negotiable in the process, and that's when the IRL was formed. And CART went off and did one thing. They had two factions, and it actually killed open wheel racing.
Answer this, Steve. What college is named, or what college's basketball arena is named after Tony Holman?
It's Rose-Hulman University.
You dumbass. Holman Center, the Indiana State Sycamores.
Oh, yeah. They own Terre Haute. The Clabber
Yeah.
Grill was all made there. And
Yeah.
everything. You ever driven through Terre Haute? It smells like shit.
I went to school in Terre Haute. Remember, Steve?
Yeah, I used
the
to
paper
have to
mill
go
is
every
smelled bad.
week and see doctors, and and
then you had the Wabash. They always tell us, don't go down there past dark because every woman here is a hooker.
Oh, the Larry Bird Inn. I remember the Larry Bird Inn.
I stayed at the Larry Bird Inn in June of that year because I had to go for registration or some shit.
Yeah.
But I stayed at the Larry Bird Inn. It's got a basketball court for a pool.
There you go. I had
everything had Larry Bird in it or on it. So
I stayed out of the Larry Bird Inn.
But all right, Steve. Wednesday at 1:00, we'll be back talking to Steve, and make sure you take notes on everything, Coach. You could record it. We just probably can't play it, but you could record it.
So how do I record it?
Push record on something, your phone, or
it's a Zoom call. It's a Zoom call. Can't you just play back?
You could record. You have to record it to play back. But either that or just take good notes. And Wednesday, hopefully by Wednesday, we'll have one or two more guys to talk about, watch film of. But Steve, are you ever going to check your Twitter?
No. Why?
I don't know. But did you ever read the article where I complimented you on the 19?
Yes, I did read that. I did read that.
And now that's the first time anybody has ever said anything good about you in the 1981 championship game and how well you played, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you pretty well trashed the otherwise well-written article. So
I was trying to be nice.
I read that and I went, well, he doesn't need to make me look good and ruin a good piece of writing and literature. It's a shame that he would do that, only because he thinks that we're friends. We are friends.
No, you just said, oh, so I'm wrong. We're not friends. Okay.
I think that Isaiah had more than anything to do with us winning in 81 than anybody.
He did, but you and Jimmy Thomas had to do your deal too. And Randy Whitman hit that little baseline buzzer beater at the end of the first half to give the Hoosiers the lead.
Checked it from the cheap seats.
He could shoot from the baseline.
We ran the picket fence at him.
He could shoot from the baseline.
You didn't get caught watching the paint dry.
Yep, and Gene Hackman died. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up.
Dennis Hooper.
You can follow me on X at Grueling Truth. You can like, subscribe, hit the bell notification on YouTube. Share the show to all your friends and neighbors because everybody needs to hear this lovely wisdom from myself.
Hey, in honor of Robert Stewart, let me leave you with this. Tom Carnegie. And it's a new track record.
All right, guys. So for now,
the driver is to average over 200 miles an hour on a 4-lap qualifying was Robert. You know that the answer to that?
Robert's looking it up right now.
That's easy. I know it. See if he comes up with it real quick. Give him 10 seconds. First driver to average over 200 miles an hour. All right, too late, Robert. It was Tom Sneva in the Texaco Cosworth.
Yeah,
there you go. Too late.
I remember that too.
Yep.
Wasn't it 1977?
Sometime around then.
I think it was 77. I remember listening to that because I think Andretti might have had the lead, and then his car broke down.
Andretti is slowing down. That was the main phrase in Indianapolis for Andretti's entire run after 1969. Andretti is slowing down.
Well, at least he got that one.
He got that one. All right.
All right, guys.
It was Tom Sneva, Robert. You're correct.
We will be back Wednesday at 1:00 with another Indiana basketball show. But for now, for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.